Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to a new YouTube video where we're going to be breaking down the 2026 ecom blueprint that's going to exactly show you how to build and scale a subscription brand like how we did in 2025 to doing consistently $1.5 million every single month. I'm going to be bringing you exactly into this Figma file, walking you through every exact step that we've implemented into our business to continue doing these numbers. So let's get straight into it. So guys, in this video, I'm going to be covering the following points for you. First things first, we're going to talk about MRR, right? Building monthly recurring revenue. Second is going to be the scaling strategies that you're going to need to implement into your business in order to do this. And the third thing is going to be about payment processors, where I also say fuck Shopify payments, and they're probably going to ban me after posting this video. But guys, I'm going to front run you exactly to everything what's going on in the supplement space, in the subscriptions space, especially running on Shopify. So you need to stay tuned all the way to the end if you want to protect yourself heading into 2026. So first of all, we always start by showing the receipts, guys. Like, to be honest, guys, you can exactly see here, this is from November right now, right before Black Friday. You can see we're doing 50K plus every single day consistently, right? And this is not all just first customer revenue, right? This is also because of subscriptions that we have stacked over time that is compounding so that we can be doing these numbers every single day with our business, right? Predictable growth, also making sure that we're always profitable and also making sure that we can scale our business the right way. So I'm going to take you guys through the exact road that we went through in order to build this business, which you guys can implement after watching this video. So first things first, we're going to jump into MRR. So MRR stands for monthly recurring revenue, guys. So for the people that didn't know that, it's just running a subscription model. It's actually one of the best models right now in ecom to get started with. Make sure that you compound revenue every single month, that you have predictable growth, and that your profits also grow while you're scaling your business. There's no other business model in the space in ecom that's going to be able to give you this amount of money and also compound your business the best way in early stages as well, versus Google dropshipping, normal fashion dropshipping from Chinese suppliers and stuff. It's not going to get you there, guys. So I'm going to quickly run you over a few important things for understanding this model. This is also going to be more of an advanced class for the people, but anyone can implement this. So first thing, we're going to go over offer and tracking take rate. When it comes down to having an offer on your page, when you're running a subscription, you want to make sure that your offer is clear. You want to make sure that people know that they're going to be going into a subscription, but you also want to make sure that your offer makes sense for you in the back end, also for your data, in order for you to scale and money that you can expect compounding over time. So in this example, I've went ahead and grabbed Rise. So Rise does about $365 million every single year with their brand, also with subscriptions. I'm going to be taking them and also another competitor as an example, where they're running subscriptions and doing high volume per month. So Rise sells mushroom coffee, right? This is a very good supplement, or at least something that you intake, which is used on a monthly basis and also finishes on a monthly basis, which they're going to need to have a subscription in order to keep compounding the habits and also the benefits, whatever their mushroom coffee is giving to their customers. So as you can see here, they have a few bundles, right? So they got a single bag, they got a starter kit, and they also got a ritual set. So here you can see they're charging a price for $27. 40% off today. This is their Cyber Monday deal. And then we also got $36 of refill, which is going to be shipped in 30 days. And then adjustment shipments are cancel anytime, and free US shipping. Now, guys, I know for the people on Twitter and the people right now, people are becoming more woke when it comes down to subscriptions and stuff. This is not a 100% compliant way, right? I'm using this purely for educational purposes only. I'm not advising anyone to go and copy exactly what Rise is doing, because all the compliance thingies and FTC issues and all that stuff, that's not on me. That's on you if you replicate this exact strategy. Then again, just repeating, it's educational purposes only that I'm using Rise, okay? So Rise, what they do a low upfront AOV charging towards customers. So they make the barrier of entry super low that customers and the conversion obviously go up, right? So they're going to only have to pay $27 for this order, and every refill is going to be charged $36 when they have their next subscription date come in, their billing date. So that is how Rise is able to compound this. And I do not know what their cost of goods are that they're able to do it at such a low pricing. I would not advise anyone that's starting off with subscriptions, or at least the first year of being in the game, to do such a strategy that's like super aggressive. But yeah, Rise has been around for I think like 4 or 5 years. So they obviously know what they're doing. They have lower cost of goods, and that's how they're able to scale at these prices. But The compounding effect happens with the MRR that they're getting on a monthly basis, which is going to be at a higher amount than their first initial order. Very important. Like I said, the offer is very important what you're going to be running here, because you want to be able to track your subscription take rate so that you have predictable revenue and predictable growth. In their case, they're running a subscription only model where they're not giving a one-time purchase, right? Or at least not on their main page that they're advertising to. And this is also one way of doing things, but you do need to make sure that you communicate it as going to be a subscription to the customer, and making sure that it's a subscribe and save offer that you show. So when you do get checked by all these companies for compliance, that you are compliant enough to be doing that. But let's just say in your case, you're able to run an 80, 90% subscription take rate, or even 100%, right? You're going to compound and stack predictable revenue and growth for your business over time. That makes this business model actually the best one out there, because you can literally see the amount of customers that are coming in your door now, and you can actually see in forecast for next month how much you can expect from those customers if it's on a 30-day billing cycle. And what you want to be focusing on here is going to be a higher conversion rate, because a higher conversion rate means more orders, which means more subscription, which means more revenue that you can expect the next few months. So that is what makes this model so powerful when doing monthly recurring revenue. And there's multiple ways where you can do monthly recurring revenue, right? For presenting your offer towards your customers. So for example, I have here one of the big guys as well that also started popping off the past year, which is Grunts. So Grunts has a bundle. So they got two bundles, right? So they got a buy one, which is a monthly supply, which is also going to be billed every single month from the customer's credit cards. And then you also have a 3-month supply where they're doing a buy two, get one free. Obviously, they're making still margins on this. They're just trying to make this one look more nicer so that they get all the front end AOV in at once. And then they rebuild the customer over 12 weeks, right? So there's two ways of doing this. You can have people pay you on a monthly basis, or you can get more money up front instead of the lower price for 1 month. You get more money up front and you make sure that they get billed every 3 months. Now, both of them have their upside and downside, to be honest, because when you're going to be running a 1-month supply, first of all, you need to make sure that if you're like shipping from China for whatsoever goods, if it's subscription, you need to make sure that they do receive it before they actually run out, right? So if they do run out over like 30 days, you need to make sure that they have the new one like right before or just right after they finished, because otherwise they're going to end up canceling. The next thing is going to be that you are able to stack data for your monthly cohorts, which I'm going to get into a bit, where you can see like how long does a customer actually stay, what's the LTV on your base customers that buy from your brand, and then you just collect more data than from people that are actually paying for 3-month supplies. When you are able to collect this like in the beginning, like 1-month supplies, you're going to be able to get so much data that you can eventually like design your offers, design your upsells, design your post-purchase flows and even after-sale experience for your customers to make them even better and make the customer stay longer with you. But running a 3-month supply offer like what Grunts is doing, they obviously already know their cohorts. They've been around for some time. They're also doing, I think, like $100 million plus a year. They've been around for some time. Obviously, with more front-end AOV coming immediately to the bank is going to even make you scale harder, because you're going to have all that money up front instead of waiting 3 months for customers to get that initial amount from the customer. So there are both ups and downs when it comes down to this. But obviously, the 3-month supply, if most people were to take it, you would get so much more upfront money, but you're just going to have to wait 3 months again until you get that big compound of just the bag being like paid out to you in 3 months. So I think that's why they're mixing the best of both worlds, doing that here, right? And some people do take 3 months supply, right? Even 2-month supply works very well. I've seen that as well for our own brand. 2-month and 3-month, they also do some work. And obviously that gives you more money to scale whenever you're running it in the beginning. So what you want to be doing when you're running a subscription brand is you want to be focusing on AOV. So when you start off with a brand, you obviously want to still be profitable if possible. And I always tell the people that we also like coach one-on-one with, and also people that ask me about subscriptions, that, hey, try running your brand without subscriptions first for a month, collect data, do like a 10K day, and then afterwards you can start implementing a subscription plan onto your website. Because if you do that, obviously your CVR is going to drop, but you're going to need more data in order to fix these pain points that can happen to your overall conversion and stuff. But you want to be focusing on your AOV over time so that you can eventually compound more money that comes into the bank, first of all, and also obviously you're going to be able to scale more if your AOV goes up, because your CACs are over time are going to be rising. And next to that, you want to consider like stacking monthly recurring, or you want higher upfront AOV. So in the beginning, I always tell everyone first stack monthly recurring so that you can see the compounding effect of monthly recurring revenue. But after that, then it just makes more sense once you have more data. I would say like 3+ months of data to now start looking, okay, you know what? AOV optimizations need to happen, especially for the subscription side of things, because, you know, there's only X much what you can do in order to, first of all, get more subscriptions through the door at a profitable way. And then also, obviously, your subscription offer, playing around with prices and all that type of stuff. There's only that much you can do. So that's why also, you know, a 3-month, 2-month supply is also a tactic to get more money quicker instead of just waiting out 2-3 months to collect money from the customers that you've already gained a few months back. And then also what you want to be focusing on is making sure that you have post-purchase upsell flows. And that is also one way of obviously stacking your MRR over time. So I went ahead and also ordered from Grunts to see like what type of email flows they are running. And I've seen here exactly that they obviously push more based on also all their data. They push more towards the 3 pouches quarterly pack. So you can see here that they say stock up and save big, lock in 30% lifetime discount. All the people that bought just the 1 pack, obviously their rebuild price is going to be $79. Right? I think here we saw like, you know, their 1-month supply is $40. You know, how they get away with recharging you $79 every single month is another conversation. But here they charge actually a non-discounted price is going to be $79. They're already saving 25% when you have a subscription. But right now they push you towards a 3-pack in order to collect more money on the next month. So your monthly subscription is going to change from a 1 month to 3 months the next month. So actually they collect full months of payments in the first 2 months. It's a very good strategy. So you can also click here to upgrade to quarterly, and that is going to be able to upgrade your subscription, and they're going to obviously change your billing cycle plus the amount of units you get to 3, and then they also get more money enabled for them to scale more harder and acquire more new customers. So also when you want to be running a subscription brand, you want to also understand retention and LTV. So when you want to understand retention and LTV, I've went ahead and grabbed our cohorts analysis for you guys so I can show you like real examples here. So what is actually understanding your retention and LTV, right? So here you can see actually in a cohorts diagram, if I'm correct, that's the right word, that you can see like, okay, you know what? How many subscribers do you get on the first month? Here you can see, for example, March, we got 82 subscribers. April, we got 317 subscribers. May, 2,700. June, 4,300. July, 7,500. August, 11,000 new subscribers. And then these cohorts show you exactly from the moment that the subscriber started their subscription, how long do those subscribers stay with you, right? So here I can grab, for example, June. Okay, we had 4,300 subscribers. At the time of filming this is November. So here we can see that, okay, the first month, 99% of the people stayed with us. After the first month, we get 92% of the people stay with us. That started off in June. Okay, so this would make July, this would make August. So here we can then also again see like, okay, hey, third month is 77%, right? These are all cohorts, right? So this is how you can track each month of how long your subscriber retains. And also knowing your cohorts and also understanding them is for you to obviously track where are the biggest drop-offs in your business, right? Do people drop off at month 2? Do people drop off at month 3? You want to be able to track this data so that you can see how healthy your subscription business is over time, right? And the reason why these drop-offs happen can be various reasons. First thing is that when they get the product, maybe they did not take it consistently, so they still have a pack. They don't want a second pack in the second month, right? So we always give the options like, okay, hey, skip your next order. That one works very well. And then eventually they get the option to cancel if they really want to cancel. So your cohorts, and in order to read them and see like why the drop off is happening, can be based on a lot of things. It can be your product, can be customer service, can be shipping, can be supply chain, and even your offer plays a role into how this all affects your retention, right? So you want to be able to read these and make these fixes, quick fixes, and even test new things in order to keep your customers longer, because that's going to make you more profit down the line with your business. So it's very important to understand your cohorts. Next to that, you also want to understand your 90-day LTV. And why that is so important is because that is going to determine how you're going to scale. When you're running a subscription brand, you no longer need to be reliant on ROAS. It doesn't matter if you're profitable on day 1 anymore or day 0. It doesn't really matter anymore. Right now, you want to just see like, okay, hey, in a course from 60 to 90 days, how much money am I going to make if I acquire this customer for X amount of cost per acquisition? Here in our example, right, we have a $142 3-month LTV, right? So this actually explains that the average new subscriber we acquire today will bring us $142.35 in revenue within their first 3 months. So that is a whole game changer, especially for our business, because now we can determine how much we can spend to be in the safe zone or even on the aggressive zone for our business. So just for a quick example, right now, if we were to spend $70, $80, $90 to acquire a customer, we would make $60 profit in month 3, and then every single month that X amount that they paid in order to get their product is going to be pure profit in month 4, 5, 6, as long as the customer stays. So that's going to be compounding over time. But this data gives us just a clear vision like, okay, hey, you guys can go as aggressive as we want to go to. We can go to raise our CPAs all the way to $142 and then make profit in month 4. But it really then comes down to a lot of things, like what does your cash flow look like? What are the terms that you have with your supplier? How much cash reserve do you have? That is all important. All these data points are so important in order to determine, okay, you know what? I can now go super aggressive. You know, you're having a super bad month. We just take ROAS now for an example, but you have a super bad month and your CAC is at like $130. I don't know, Facebook's doing some weird stuff again. It really doesn't matter, because in month 3, you're going to get like the $10 profit, and then eventually you're going to compound it over time in month 4, 5, and 6. And that counts for all the new customers. So now you can actually outspend your competitors and win the auction on Facebook, because you're able to spend more because you're no longer reliant on ROAS. And for you guys' knowledge, you know, big brands become profitable after 90 days. But that is something I do not recommend for people starting off with their own new subscription brand or whatsoever. You know, you need to be profitable after 30 to 60 days. That's ideally. Obviously, when you start off, it's super ideal. Over time, you're scaling, all this type of stuff. You're testing out a lot of new creatives and all these things. Obviously, it's going to go down over time. There's nothing you can do about, but there's obviously tactics you can do to try and stay as much as profitable, or at least minimize the loss is what I actually mean. Minimize the loss as much as possible for your brand in order to continue scaling. So coming back to this just shows how cash flow is king. And actually, this subscription model, obviously in e-commerce, cash flow is king. But it just even goes to emphasize it even more because it compounds over time. It's not your Google dropshipping store, you make a sale and then that's it, the customer never comes back again. So you compound, you get more cash flow through your business, and you're able to invest more and build your business out for the long term. Next thing that's super important for people when you're obviously going to be running subscriptions is obviously optimizing retention and churn. So here I'm showing you an example, which I also showed above. It's going to be July, August, and September for us, right? Here you can read that this is month 1, you know, from these amount of subscribers after month 1. We had 87% of these total subscribers stay with us, and then in month 3, it went down to 61%. You need to be aware when these big drop-offs happen. Like, what is it exactly about? Was there some type of crazy offer we ran during that period? What is the period like, the seasonality like throughout the year? Is it like Christmas? Is it summer? You know, all the type of stuff play all a role, especially when you're taking like supplements. But in our case, we saw that we had a drop-off of like 26% plus down from month 3. That wasn't there in June, in May. So I was like, okay, what are the things that we can actually do to increase it back up to like every percent counts, because that's going to be dollars compounded over time. You can see in August, we went up to 71%, and September, we went up to 74%. So that's already almost a 15% jump. And these are actually the ways that we implemented into our business in order to optimize our retention and also minimize the cancellations that we get over time, the legal way. So here we get, for example, 2 big brands. I went ahead and also exampled it. So these are all examples I recommend everyone doing, which I'm going to get into. But here we got AG1 and we got Rise again. So one thing what I would definitely recommend for these big drop-off months, so in our case for month 3, what we also went ahead and did, is we created an incentive for our customers to stay longer with us, right? So there's 2 ways of going about this. Obviously, one is going to be your messaging, which I'm also going to get into. How long it takes for your product to even give the customers the benefits is another. But incentives make your customers stay longer with you, because, you know, gift giving for them, you know, it's free. It also like obviously ups your brand identity to them, because yeah, they're getting free stuff. Customers like free things. That's just, you know, they like discounts, they like free things. We all know that now. We just need to just find ways that we can optimize on and also make useful for our business in order to make our business grow, while also giving the customer free things actually in order to be happy, stay longer with us. And that's what actually AG1 and Rise are actually showing here. So AG1 does a member perk introduction. We can see here they create a milestone rewards where reward 1, they already get a free bottle with their first order. But here they say like starting now, earn a free reward on every 4th month subscription order for your first year. So apparently people are, I think, this is 9 out of 10 most likely the case. In month 4, a lot of people would drop off for AG1. So what they went ahead and did was actually implement an incentive to keep them longer. So even if it lifts it, if it uplifts it like 10 or even 20%, it is still worth doing. It also depends on the amount of people, right? So if you get like 10,000 people, that's a really good number, and you're able to get people 10% to stay, which is 100 people, times your AOV, which would be like $50, right? So that's already 5K extra, what you're going to be keeping. If you just introduce another free gift, I don't know what it is, what they sell on the month 4, your cogs and all this stuff, let's just say you give another free product. That's going to cost you initially like $1,000. You keep $4,000 in the bank, at least profit. So this is very important for you, especially running your subscription business, in order to track these cohorts and data and then plan around them and optimizing them actually to make your business profitable even long term and way longer than just letting customers go through your door. Because you paid for the customer, first of all, either through Facebook, Google, or any other traffic source. You paid for them. So why not make use of keeping them in your business? And you would say, okay, giving free products away and stuff, is also cost of goods, but we need to look at the whole picture. Like if that increases our LTV another 3 months, technically speaking, that's going to be 3 months extra worth of profit coming again into your business. And you can use that money to go ahead and go acquire other new customers. And that compounds over time. You see, it all comes back to compounding, right? Because I'm going to just go ahead and draw this for you guys. If we look at compounding, how that actually works, is you start small and then eventually it starts going up and it doesn't go down anymore, and then it just goes up a line all the way, right? And then it just compounds. Now you should see that as your revenue that eventually goes up over time. So this can be timeline. I could put timeline here, and then this will be your revenue, right? Your revenue goes up. That is the power of compound. It just takes time, but the results that come back over time is going to be more. That's why it makes the subscription model better. It's like, investing into stocks, compounding over time. You rip the rewards long term and not short term. And then here we can also see, for example, Rise is that they have free gift for you, and it's a mystery gift. I did not see what they're sending, but they added it to the next first order. So probably for them, they had a huge drop off after month 1. So they went ahead and added a free gift in order to keep the customers excited, keep the customers happy, and also wanting to stay and see like, ooh, maybe next month I might get this. So that's why it makes this a very good model. The next thing also what's important is improving your product. If we're going to be talking about supplements in specific, the only way of doing that is obviously custom formula, right? So making sure that your ingredients are optimized for the most perfect, beneficial way for your customers, which is going to cost you more, right? But if that increases your LTV with another 2 to 3 months, it comes back again. If you're going to have to pay $1 more for your cost of goods, which would actually be $1 more in your pocket, but it's going to make the customer stay longer. If with a $50 AOV, is going to make them stay 3 months longer, which equals to $150. It's worth giving the extra dollar per unit, right? Because then you're going to be, I don't know, $5 unit. You paid then $15 in total with $1 extra. So that would make actually 12. So you get actually 12, what you would pay initially, but then for three packs, which is 3 months, but then now you end up paying $15 for 3 packs, which is going to be more on your cogs, yes, but eventually your customer stays 1 to 3 months more, which is going to equal to $150. So you tell me, is it then worth investing $3? This is hypothetical, by the way, right? It might not be $150. Even if it's just 1 month extra, you invested $1 to get $50, okay? So it does still make sense to invest that dollar into making your product better. So I'm going to leave it to that. The next thing is going to be improving messaging and communication. So what we want to do here, especially with subscriptions, is that there's a fine line when you're doing this. You do not want to be over communicating your subscription towards your customer, because it can be overwhelming. First of all, it could remind them of a subscription. Maybe they wanted to even try it for a month only, and then they'd be like, oh, okay, you know what, I left it, because the thing is, in today's day and age, with everything that we got going on, people want quick results. But when it comes down to like supplements and all this stuff, unless it's pharmaceutical, they want the results quick. But in reality, it's not going to be quick. Mostly these benefits that you get from these supplements, like I don't know, for example, ashwagandha, those compound over time. You need to be taking it 2-3 months to start first even feeling the effect of it. Or even like creatine, you need to be taking it for some months to eventually start feeling the effect. And it's not going to be some rush that you feel through your body like you're drinking a Red Bull or even a Monster or something, but it is beneficial for the body. So you don't want to be over communicating subscriptions to them, because that can be overwhelming. It can hurt your churn as well. People are going to end up more canceling. But like I said, I'm just saying you should not over communicate. You should still communicate that there's a subscription. So such as a renewal email, you do need to send that out. You need to make sure that they do get that so that they know that they're going to be charged in a few days. But you can do it in a fun way, not just like, hey, make sure that you have $50 ready on your credit card. We're going to charge you in 5 days. No, make sure that you make the customer experience nice. Like, okay, hey, like you've made it into your first order of your new ritual, you know, so more life-changing health benefits are coming your way, especially heading into month 2 and 3. This is where you really start to see the benefits come into your body, or you start feeling better. Make it a fun way. It shouldn't be like, hey, I want to just write off money from your credit card. So that's what I mean with not over-communicating subscription. Just a quick disclaimer. The second thing is going to be setting clear expectations for the customer. So you do not want to oversell your customer on bullshit, right? Because then all of these tactics are not going to work and improve your business. If you're not selling something that works, it's not going to work. Doesn't matter how hard you try and optimize these things. You're just playing around with fire, and eventually the fire is going to burn down the house. So you need to make sure that you set clear expectations. You know that your product is working for your customers, and then the customers are willing to wait. Trust me, we've ran surveys asking the customer, are you willing to wait if the product really fixes your problem long term? And most of them said yes, right? So you just need to communicate it the right way and set clear expectations for your customer. And then the next thing would be about implementing LTV into their brain, right? Which is another thing. There was a movie, I also mentioned, the tweet about this was Focus. I can put it in the description for you guys, where you saw that, for example, the actor was Will Smith. You know, they had this Chinese gambler who really loved gambling, and they wanted to do a gamble with him in order to like win money from him. So what they went ahead and did, like 24 hours before, there was a hotel he was staying in. So they made sure that everything around him would be this number, which had to be 54, be this number of which his unsubconscious mind would eventually see all the time. And then eventually, if that number were to get presented again in front of him, he would go for that because he's seen it so many times. His unsubconscious mind does that. So the hotel like room number was 54. The waiter that brought food to him had the number 54 here. The card on the food had number 54. The signs throughout the building, all 54. So your mind may not track that, but it does see it and save it in the unsubconscious mind. So eventually down the line, end of story, they were on a football field. They were above watching a football from the VIP place. They looked down. They told him, choose a number. And then he ended up choosing 54 and he lost the bet, right? So that is how the unsubconscious mind works. So that's what I mean with implementing LTV into their brain. So if you, in your case, you want to push them to 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 6 months may be too long. Customers are not willing to wait for 6 months. And this is like a very, very hard pain point that they're going to be like, okay, so be it. I don't know, hair loss or something. But, you know, mostly the fine line from what I've seen is like mostly around 3 months. Right? But that doesn't mean that you should not still play around with month 6, month 9, month 12, because you want them to stay as long as possible. So here we can see a very good example, which is going to be Primal Queen. So on Primal Queen's landing page, you can see here exactly what should I expect from consistent use of Primal Queen. Wording is first of all top-notch, you know, consistent use, because this can be used against a customer if they're not using it consistently and they don't feel anything after a month. Like, so the first question what they're going to ask is going to be like, were you taking it consistently, yes or no, right? So here Primal Queen has mapped out exactly what you can expect from week 1 to month 2, 3, 6 and 12, right? So they map out exactly all the benefits that they can reap from using Primal Queen. So first of all, I'm not going to be diving into their product mechanisms and stuff, like how it really works, but it's a few vitamins that people can take that improve the mood, improve high energy. I can see here that they're even targeting vitality and drive, vitamin A, beef organs, better skin health, delayed signs. So they have all these pain points and desires put into one product. So that gives them a lot of angles that they can target, right? So at month 12, you've like unlocked the most benefits that you can get from taking them. And that probably works for them. I haven't ordered from them, so I do not know how their flows look like and stuff. Definitely worth trying. But yeah, this sets a real expectation for your customers. And that's going to be, if you can put that also into email flows and all that type of stuff, then that's definitely going to up your LTV with your customers. Next thing is going to be about improving cancel flow and collecting surveys. All right. So first of all, every brand goes through cancellations. Every subscription brand, every app, whatsoever, everyone has subscriptions. You cannot have this at 0%. The healthy subscription churn is going to be between 8 to 15%. And when I say 8 to 15%, most of the times this also includes dunning. And dunning means people that their cards that have failed payments. And the reason can be is that there's no money on their card, or they first need to verify the payment as well, all that type of stuff, right? You want to eventually, as a business, as a brand, you want to be collecting all these data so that you can improve, first of all, the customer service experience, your product, but then also your churn over time and your LTV. So you need to be collecting real-time feedback from customers. Okay, you can do this after the cancel flow, or even before the cancel flow, before they end up canceling. They need to be answering all these questions. That's one way of doing it. You know, collecting it also after they've purchased, first of all, the first order, sending out emails to them, calling them up. These are all things that are so important in order to collect as much data as possible and just keep fine-tuning your business and your engine, making sure that it's always clean, right? Another way of improving cancel flow is obviously offering discounts or skipping next order. That helps a lot with customers. And then also like creating a founder video pop-up during cancellation process that goes over the benefits again, explains to them like, why did you actually start with us? You know, that gives them a little reminder, you know, and then it should be good to go. So those are ways of improving your cancellation. And obviously there's even more what you can actually do for the business. But yeah, there's only that much I can cover on YouTube, guys. So one of the things that Remo and I offer are obviously to work one-on-one with us. The criteria in order to work one-on-one with us to implement these things and more is obviously you need to be running a brand that's doing at least 50K a month. What you get with working with us is going to, first of all, being one-on-one calls is going to last from 8 to 12 weeks. Next to that, you're also going to be getting 24/7 WhatsApp support, which is going to be able to give you access to us all the time. Any issues, any good things, anything that you need help with, we're there through WhatsApp support. Next to that, you're also going to be gaining access to our resources, contacts, strategies, setups, and even more to scale your brand. Company setups, like everything is literally in there. I can only cover this much on YouTube, guys. So if you want to work one-on-one with me and Remo, make sure to DM me on Instagram saying ready so that I know that you're wanting to work with Remo and I and scale your brand. All right, back into the video, guys. Next thing what we're going to be handling is scaling. The next important thing for once you have all these subscription stuff set up, there's also other optimizations that need to happen in your business. So I'm going to be going through the scaling part of things. First of all, it's going to be CRO and funnels. Okay, CRO is so important for any e-com brand, but especially when you're running subscriptions and especially being at scale, because you want to be focusing on increasing your conversion rate and also your revenue per visitor. But the revenue per visitor depends, like also running on subscriptions, but obviously for most brands, you want to be increasing your RPV. You also want to be testing offers and pricing continuously to find the fine line for your business. Like how far can you push with asking as much money up front? You know, what can you do with like back end offer testing upsells that fit with your product, testing bundles, all these things. Is like, it's a continuous cycle. You need to be pushing out offers all the time and testing all these type of things, where also funnels plays a part into this, right? So CRO is one thing. It's not changing colors on the website. It's like, you know, your pricing, focusing on conversion rate and also focusing on your RPV, but also obviously on the back end, your churn and retention. So there are two ways of horizontally scaling your brand, right? I don't want you guys going out and building out another brand. If you hit plateau or something, there's always so much that you can do. And Remo and I almost made this mistake as well of wanting to like go ahead and like build our own brand on the side. When we eventually looked back and saw that there was still so much things that we could do. First thing is building out congruent PDPs and angles with one product. Okay, so 90% of the e-com brands have mainly one hero product, and this is something they can definitely start implementing once they have their foundation already set up, right? You're already doing 20, 30, 40, 50K a day, and now you want to go towards 100, 200K a day, right? You need to be pushing all these new things, new funnels and all this stuff to unlock new audience and even unaware stages for your brand. So you want to be making congruent PDPs. So PDPs that align with angles. So you need to be finding more winning angles, seeing how you can connect that with your product and like fulfill the customer's desire with it, right? Let's just say if you target, like for example, testosterone, right? If you're going to be doing that, you know, that is like one angle you can target for someone if they're like taking, I don't know, testosterone boosters or something, or even TRT. But if you only target that, that's, there's only a pool of people you can actually have there, right? Where also they can also have other problems as well, as like energy problems, or not being able to sleep at night problems. There's all these type of other problems that can not just, you're not going to be unlocking maybe 100% the same skill as your first one, but I mean, if you're able to bring with a new angle, for example, I don't know, sleep, insomnia or something, you are able to bring 500 new customers through the door into your brand. That's going to be 500 times $50 of new AOV coming into your business on a subscription level, right? And then there's where retention plays a part. So you can have your main winning angle, right? But then you end up taking all these pieces from all these other angles that make sense, first of all, with your product. And you get like 500 people from there, 1,000 people from there, and then 2,000 people from there. And that's going to compound over time again, right? So that's why it's so important to find more winning angles, and then you create dedicated product pages per angle, so it makes sense. You don't want someone coming that has sleep problems coming onto a site, like a site where you increase your testosterone or something. That doesn't make sense. Next to that, you also want to make sure that you want to be finding winning listicles and advertorials. Also plays part next to the PDPs. That just makes sense based on your audience demographic, right? Older people like more advertorials, they're more used to newsletter stuff, but then you also get listicles, which is more for like the younger people, PDPs as well. They're more used to like the Shopify look and stuff. So that is one of the things that is super important, and you need to make sure that you cover actually all areas within your business in order to keep on scaling. The other way of horizontally scaling is adding obviously more SKUs to your brand. So first of all, you're going to then be introducing a new hero product, which is actually a good thing. But the problem is most of you guys don't have these big enough teams or actually pods to be focusing on, for example, one angle, and let alone even a brand, right? You want to eventually be targeting a different pain point with this new SKU if you do want to implement it, right? And then you're going to be having 2 hero products in your business, right? So I'm going to go ahead and put that here. You're going to have like 2 hero products. So we're going to have 1 and 2. The ideal situation is not that it's not possible, but all your brain power and thought process and even your team members are going to be jumping back and forth on 2 different things, right? If you're going to be focusing on first men and then the other one woman. But then again, you can still do that also for your one product as well, if that's possible. But you want to be able to create pods, right? So you're going to have a team. You're going to have team 1 that is fully focused on this specific SKU. And then you're going to have pod 2, which is going to be also another team, like with all the creative strategists, editors, all that type of stuff that focus on, first of all, the second SKU, but you can also reverse this into having different angles, right? So that is why, what is easier? You already have, let's just say if we focus just on one, right? You already have your product, right? You already have the product, you already have the stock. The only thing what you actually need is creating more angles, winning angles, and then eventually you can create dedicated teams to focus on each angle that's going to be eventually putting more creative output to your business in order for you to scale. That is what my recommendation would be. But if you have the cash flow, you are able to have a supply chain manager that handles all these different SKUs and stuff, then be my guest. You can go ahead and do that. That is one of the important things. And then next to that, you start building pods in your brand per product, per angle. Like I said, my suggestion would be per angle first. And this approach is going to be more cash flow and planning aggressive for your business. Next thing what we're going to head into is creatives. Look, I'm not the Facebook wizard here. Raymond's here, he's a Facebook wizard. I'm going to get him to make a dedicated YouTube video for you guys where he dives deeper into the creatives, testing all this type of stuff. But obviously creatives is an important factor when it comes down to scaling. So I'm going to quickly go over what's the most important things for you to actually know when you're going to be doing this. First of all, I want to remove the mindset of, the ad account structure topic. What an ad account structure or testing is the best way in order for you to scale your brand. Look, ad account structure is only 20%. Only 20%. I even went ahead for the people that are going to be asking the question, how do you test your products and at least your creatives and stuff? So what we do is we have a CBO and ABO. We tested 50-50 split. We have an ABO 50% testing and scaling campaign that we do, and eventually we move the winners to our CBO scaling campaign that we have per country, right? And then we just have those CBO scale and we continue testing with ABO. For the people that wanted to know that, there you go. But then again, what I want to emphasize, don't change your structure. Focus on creatives. So that's going to do the 80% of work, and funnels. Like I said, I'll have the Facebook wizard right here do a deeper dive onto the Facebook side of things for you guys on YouTube. Next thing for you guys is going to be creatives and lenders that do the lifting and unlock. So that's 80%. They do the heavy lifting and unlock skill for your brand, right? So that's what I said. You need more creatives and you also need more lenders, or at least lenders that make sense in order for you to scale. You want to be building your team based on your skill and volume, right? So the amount of creatives you want to output on a week, you need to reverse engineer that into how many editors you need, how many creative strategists make sense for you, and all that type of stuff. And when you're doing that, you want to focus on quality with quantity, which is going to equal to more winners. Some people would say quality over quantity and all that type of stuff, but we say quality with quantity is very important, which is going to make you more winners long term, right? And the next important thing when you're doing this is that you need to track hit rate for winners. Okay, so you need to have KPIs for your editors so that you know what's the win rate for your campaigns that are being launched on your ad account based on the editors and their skills and all that type of stuff. And then obviously you need to track that, have talks with them if the win rates are not going well, understand also their perspective and all that type of stuff, which is another conversation as well. And then next to that, you also want to have a dedicated media buyer that understands metrics and scaling strategy in the ad account. So that's again the 20% of the ad account structure is going to be the one that does the lifting. But obviously you want them to also like be scaling throughout the ad account, understand the metrics, what creatives are working, tell the team like, okay, hey, let's focus on this, this, and this. We see this in the ad account. So those are all important, okay? That's creatives. We'll get the Facebook wizard to go more deeper for that for you guys on YouTube. Next thing is going to be multi-platform. First of all, how you can continue scaling your brand. This counts for even subscription, but also for any other e-com brand, branded dropshipping, whatever you want to call it. Facebook is always going to stay king, guys, okay? It's going to stay king. I think we understand why, but other platforms or channels that you can be marketing on it to get more brand awareness, get more customers, cold audiences, all that stuff through the door is going to be Google, obviously. Then we also have native platforms right now, which is starting to become a thing, like AppLovin, Taboola, Outbrain, also working very well. And then you also got marketplaces that you can be selling on, such as Amazon and TikTok Shop, right? Now you're going to just be collecting, first of all, Facebook, Google, and native platforms bring all the revenue to your Shopify site. And these marketplaces like Amazon, which is very big in the USA, will bring an X percentage of revenue through the door. Either they saw your ad on Facebook and then eventually ended up buying it on Amazon or even on Google. Plays the same part. Just being omni-channel present is going to help you increase your revenue because some people do not want to even buy through your site. TikTok Shop is another thing. Also, they have their own regulations and stuff. People can go ahead and buy through there. And it's also a UGC engine, which is another conversation for marketing. Then we also have backups, ad accounts, and suppliers. So guys, when you're going to be scaling to these numbers, doing 100, 200, 300K spend a day, right? You want to be spreading out risk through ad accounts, especially like supplements. I know people can go aggressive on stuff, doing all these aggressive angles and all these things, right? But you want to be able to spread risk, right? Through ad accounts. So, making sure that you have, X amount of stuff on one ad account, X amount of stuff on the other ad account. So if you end up losing the first one, it doesn't really affect your overall revenue stream. Obviously, you're going to need to be setting everything up again on the back end, on a new ad account, all that type of stuff. But you need to spread out risk because you don't want to be dependent on one ad account. You go down and then eventually you're going to be offline because you don't have any backups, right? You need to go warm up an ad account again and all this type of stuff. You need to be making sure that you're always prepared for Facebook's crazy disabling at any given time, okay? Next to that, you want to also have backup suppliers for scale. Guys, you know our story, right? So this is something that is not so much talked on, but I'm going to push it to all of you. You need to have backup suppliers, okay? If something happens to the first supplier, you just switch to the other one, right? Probably you might get issues with your inventory that you have there, but you don't want your business collapsing overnight. So you need to have backup suppliers that can go ahead, you can pause your ads, they can continue setting up new stock, and once it's ready, you keep rolling. So that is so important for you. And then we're going to go into the last section, guys. It's going to be payment processors, Shopify payments, okay? So guys, first of all, I've been running on Shopify payments for over 3 years, okay? So I love their model. I love what they do. I love the way that they're able to give people a freedom of getting started as soon as possible, with no strings attached. You can just go ahead, go to the website, go to Shopify, make an account, and done. You're online, right? After obviously finding products and all that type of stuff. But they're so easy to use, so accessible, which also comes with downside stuff, especially right now what we got with this whole new VAMP things coming up towards the end of the year. As you guys can see, a lot of people are getting taken down by VAMP, the whole new Visa VAMP rules, which I'm going to get into in a little bit. As you can see myself, we've also been taken down by Shopify payments before the time of this recording, where you can see, like I say, here we go again. Our Shopify payments were suddenly disabled due to a rise in chargebacks and an elevated risk, but our actual chargeback rate was 0.2, right? And we can see here all these other e-com guys are also all being taken down by Shopify payments in real time, right? Money held, our Shopify payments got disabled. So Shopify payments shut us down and holds 20K. Shopify just took me down again. Chargeback rate was only 0.2. Same case here. Everyone, Shopify payments is going down because of the new VAMP radios. And then here, Shopify merchants with VAMP enforcement rising. Shopify payments will shut down more accounts. So that's currently going on, right? And guys, like I said, these are things that you could have seen before it actually happened, and front run it by making sure you have backups, right? But that's why I'm here. I'm here to give you guys some knowledge so that you guys can go ahead and implement this for yourself so that you don't get fucked over by Shopify payments. It's nice that we're able to run on Shopify payments, but you need to understand the risks that come to it. Because look, Shopify payments is actually a lip gloss Stripe, okay? So Shopify payments does not own the payment processing. They just work together with Stripe. It's a white label, but they're just naming it Shopify payments, but it's actually Stripe. You need to understand the risk when you're running Shopify payments with subscription, guys. You guys do not understand this. A lot of people now with these VAMP new rules and stuff, they lost their subscribers, okay? All the time that you guys have been like sacrificing money in order to acquire all these customers and stuff, Shopify does not care, okay? They got financial partners they need to make happy. They got the whole VAMP rules they need to be compliant with as well. So they don't care. So you need to understand, okay? I'm going to draw this for you guys. You need to understand, they got this umbrella, right? They got this umbrella. I'm just making an umbrella, guys. They got an umbrella with all these stores under them, okay? So including me, including you guys, everyone. But eventually, they have also their own portfolio of their VAMP rate, which I said, I'm going to get into that in a bit. They got their VAMP ratio, which they need to make sure that they are under that VAMP ratio, which from Visa right now is 0.5%. That is fraud VAMP ratio something. It needs to be 0.5%. Look, not all merchants understand that they need to be having chargeback preventions on their store. Not all merchants have the best customer service experience for their customers. Not all merchants are compliant in whatsoever way, which does affect their chargeback rates, which all comes back down to chargebacks, where they are actually losing money on themselves, but that's the merchant's problem. But the VAMP ratio, it's even though the chargeback doesn't come into the Shopify store, it still gets noted down by these Visa providers and stuff. Shopify has the VAMP ratio, and they can see like, okay, shit, we're at 1.5% VAMP ratio now. What they're going to do is just blast an AI through all these accounts to try and scan like their VAMP ratios, because they can see that. We don't see that unless you contact your, I don't know, I don't want to do any promotion here. If you just contact your chargeback prevention tool that you use, ask them, what's your VAMP ratio? They can tell you that, okay? If you're not under 0.5, you're already a high risk for these merchants. 0.7 is already considered high risk. So how are you even supposed to even save yourself with these things, okay? So what Shopify's AI is going to go ahead and do is they're going to start, eventually, they're going to just start eliminating all these stores at random. They don't have time to go scanning through 100,000 merchants, their accounts, and seeing the numbers. They need to make sure that their financial partners and all these things are under the 0.5% VAMP ratio, because otherwise Shopify payments also gets issues, right? It's not that Shopify payments doesn't want us. It's just they have these rules set now, and they need to make sure that they're compliant enough, because otherwise they can also lose their license and stuff, you know? No hard feelings. We just need to pivot our way through it. So they end up canceling all these stores, and even in our case, like I said, our chargeback ratio was 0.2, we get kicked off. VAMP ratio maybe might have been 0.5, 0.55. I did fact check that though. But yeah, still, we are very compliant, and literally no reason to kick us off Shopify payments. But then again, it ended up happening, so we need to move forward from there, right? So you need to understand that if you're running subscriptions, using any subscription app on Shopify, you do not own your tokens. So if something happens to your Shopify store, or even to Shopify payments, you end up losing everything overnight. That's going to be your own fault, because you just went ahead and used them, you felt comfortable and all this stuff, but you're going to end up losing all your tokens, right? And Shopify does not care, and they're not easy to migrate your tokens. 90% of people that try don't even make it through it, unless you get a lawyer and all this stuff, but it's going to cost you money. You do not own your tokens, and you need to understand that, and you need to actually start pivoting and making these backups, because otherwise you're going to lose your business overnight. So what happens is if your Shopify payments gets disabled, you lost everything you built. Okay, there are some things about, okay, you know what, you can just connect authorize.net and stuff. But look, let me tell you guys, most users on Shopify payments use Shop Pay. They use Apple Pay, right? If you end up using a MID that connects to authorize.net, it's not going to work. The Shop Pay users are no longer going to be able to get billed again, which is probably going to be like 50%, 45% of your Shopify payments. So you lose that. Shopify payments not going to give you access because it's under the umbrella of Shopify payments, the whole Shop Pay thingy. You end up losing that. Apple Pay also gets disabled on your store, so you're not going to be able to do anything about that as well, even though Apple Pay is not owned by Shopify Payments, but it's just one of their rules that they do. And also all the other currencies that you have, you end up losing all of them because with authorize.net and what I'm going to get into about payment processors and stuff, they only convert US dollars. So you end up actually losing 70 to 75% of all your subscribers. So it's scary. Trust me, it's scary. So you need to start like making plans about this and fixing everything that you need to do in order to prevent these things from happening, right? Luckily, I saw this come before it hit us as well. So I'm warning you guys out there, before we head into 2026, for the people that are especially running subscriptions, you're going to end up losing your customers if you do not do this, okay? So the VAMP update, let's go quickly over it, right? I'm now acting like I'm the FBI. So the VAMP is Visa's Acquire Monetary Program. It's a fraud dispute management system for banks, acquirers, and online merchants, replacing old rules to set consistent fraud limits globally, focusing on reducing bad transactions via ratios, fraud versus disputes versus total sales. Okay, so the same like chargebacks, but it gets its own chargeback ratio, which includes fraudulent orders, okay? Which customers can just say like, hey, this is fraud, I did not order this, blah, blah, blah. So you're also going to get fucked by the customers, whatever they say. So if customers find out about this, they're always going to win their chargebacks, if I'm correct, which I'm sure I am. So, and enumeration, which is card testing attempts. So that's more for subscribers as well, people that use subscriptions, to keep payments safer and reduce merchant fees for high risk, right? So what is VAMP? A global standard replaces various regional fraud programs with one set of clear rules for online card not present transactions for online payments. It focuses on bank acquirers and online merchants, and it monitors actually us as merchants. And then the two key metrics for this is VAMP ratio, so calculates fraud dispute rates against total transactions. So for example, 0.7 for excessive risk for acquirers, and you need to be under 0.5. And then the enumeration tracks repeated failed card attempts. So for example, 20% for merchants to catch fraudsters. So I do not know what this means. I also do not know how this plays to us as merchants, as obviously we do failed card retries, right? So that is some finding I'm also going to need to find out. So then we get eventually, you know, here you can see effective as of 2026, it's going to be a 0.5. Here it says it's going to be 2.2. But what we can see, everyone is that's under like around the 0.5, everyone's getting messed up, guys. So anyways, we need to pivot. We need to find the best 2026 solution for us brands and merchants to be safe, especially for our MOR and all the hard work that we've put in. And that's why I'm here to give you guys the end solution. All right, guys. So this is going to be new for the people that haven't even like had time to sit down behind their desk and even do some digging. All right. So the only monthly recurring revenue e-com solution in 2026 to be safe is getting your own third-party processing and also getting your own CRM system. Everyone right now with Shopify Payments, you're using Shopify Payments as a payment processor, which is technically Stripe, and you're using their CRM system, which is the Shopify dashboard, to store all the client data and all that type of stuff. I'm not telling anyone to go ahead and move off of Shopify right now. You just need to prepare for if anything were to happen to your store. So what is payment processing? What's the word MIDs, right? So merchant IDs. So these are all payment processors that you can actually go ahead and acquire, not too easily, but you need to have volume and transaction and history and all these things set up that you can contact these people to eventually get a payment processor through them. It's not too complicated, but it's not as easy as you just click on Shopify Payments, you fill in your info, you click turn on, and then now your Shopify Payments is on, and you can start running sales. Right? There's a little bit more work that goes into this, but once you have it, you're safe. It's a one-time setup and all this stuff, and then eventually once it's all set up, you can just continue scaling without any issues. Right? So I'm going deeper into this. I only do this with my one-on-one clients, again, about like, you know, rotating mids and all this type of stuff when it comes down to like failed attempts and making sure you split out the equal transactions over multiple mids and stuff. It's a whole different conversation. But yeah, look, there are payment processes that you guys can go ahead and acquire today. Okay, I would recommend using a guy that we've also used as very well known in the space. If you need that person, just contact me through DM, just message me payment processor and I'll put you in contact with a WhatsApp group with him. He goes ahead and goes through all these applications and goes ahead and require it for you. You just only need to drop your details to him and he goes ahead. You don't pay until he's get multiple MIDs delivered to your door. Okay, so you got Agent is the biggest competitor against Stripe. Right? That's why they also went ahead and fucked over Agent, that you cannot connect ADN to Shopify payments because they have also the option to have multiple currencies, more flexibility on the checkout. Shopify doesn't like that because obviously you've set these barriers and how much you can also do on the checkout. That's why you also need Shopify Plus in order to do these checkout blocks and stuff. It's a whole conversation, and you can only use ADN if you're doing $100 million a year annually with your brand, right? And that was just to fuck over Agent, okay? And then you got NMI, you got Quantum, you got Payarc, you got Maverick, and you got way more processors. Another thing what you can dive into is approval rates and all this stuff. It's, you know, I want to keep this simple for you guys because this is, most of you guys have not even heard this, okay? Probably only the people doing real subscriptions. But these are processors like Shopify Payments, like Stripe, that pay you out. You make a sale today, you get paid out over 2 days, exactly the same. You know, Shopify Payments and Stripe are just well known in the e-commerce space when it comes to Shopify. But having these, you could connect, you cannot go ahead and connect Shopify Payments to your own store, okay? With these, you can create your own custom build store, you can create a WordPress store, you can create any store outside of Shopify, and you can connect these MIDs to them, the payment process. You connect them and you can run volume, transaction volume through that. And then what you also need to go ahead and arrange in order to have all these things set up correctly is that you need a CRM system. So what's also well known in the space in e-commerce, at least for the very big guys, is going to be Checkout Champ. You also got Funnelish, and then you also got another way, which I put here, is building your own custom CRM, which is more advanced, going to cost you way more money, but then you have everything in your control. Okay, so these are the ones that you can use. There's also other ones that you can use. Those are the ones that you could definitely use for a CRM. So I want to show you visually how this looks like so that you guys understand it. Because a lot of people do not know this, right? You know, the old people that have these real places where, you know, they have their stores in real life and all the type of stuff, or even different sectors, you know, they understand this, they understand Stripe. They could plug and play that into their own websites. But look, it's the completely same game, just having a different provider, right? Like the same as how you have all these like, you know, different car brands, you have also different brands in payment processing, okay? So how it would still look like, your storefront will still be Shopify. If your Shopify payments gets disabled, doesn't matter, unless your Shopify store gets taken down, that's another story. But if your Shopify payments gets disabled, you're still going to use your storefront for Shopify visitors to come to and purchase on your store. The only thing that's going to change is that when people click on the checkout button, wherever it is on your store, they're going to go to a third-party checkout. Okay, your checkout could look a little bit different to the one of Shopify. You can try and mimic it as much as possible. But if you're, for example, using Funnelish, if you're, for example, using Checkout Champ or any other CRM system that offers a third-party checkout, you want to send them to there. And in the checkout, you want to have your MID connected, your payment processor. Okay, so your process is going to be connected to the checkout. So when the customer fills in all their details and eventually hit pay now, the payment goes through. Then eventually, in this case, Adyen, right? When they click pay now, their details get sent to whichever CRM system you use. So Checkout Champ, Funnelish, your own, or whatsoever other one that is available. All the data comes into here as well. You're going to have two data platforms. You're going to have Shopify and also your own CRM system, whichever one you choose to use. Adyen collects the money also and pays it out directly to your bank. But then you also have that your customer data is stored in your CRM system, whichever one you use. And then your store's customer tokens are going to be saved in your MIDs vault. Okay, if something were to happen, okay, you run transaction volumes from your store, do the checkout, and something happens to, I don't know, your third-party checkout, your store, or even your CRM system, all your tokens, especially for subscriptions, are going to be stored on your MID, right? So if something happens, you literally just go ahead, connect your MID to another platform, or even if you have a CRM system that can just, you know, rebuild customers, it can continue rebuilding the customer from there. So you don't lose your old customers. The only issue you're going to have now is you're going to need to build another storefront and all this stuff in order to acquire new customers. So this just gives so much more peace of mind having it this setup so that you can eventually go ahead and scale without any issues. And if something happens, no problem. You just move your like the same how you can just move your domain away or move whatever, like anything that you own, just move it to another platform, another place, and you just continue doing your thing there. The problem is Shopify Payments doesn't offer that. And that's why you end up going to zero, and they don't give a fuck. Trust me. So, well, like I said, when the order comes through, it goes into the CRM, it goes into Adyen, and then eventually it sends back the order details for the following triggers in Shopify, which we're still going to be using Shopify for. Fulfillment via Shopify. It triggers also your email flow setups, but you can also connect that with your CRM system. And then also obviously all the product setups, the product SKUs, the pricing, all of that is all going to be on Shopify. And that's the only thing you use Shopify for, and also the policies and all that type of stuff, right? But then from the checkout, it changes to a third-party checkout to whichever provider you use. You have your payment processor connected. You click Pay Now. The payment processor collects the money plus the subscription token, and then eventually sends all the data back to get fulfilled through Shopify. And you own your data, which is the most important thing in 2026 now, heading into 2026 now, with your brand running subscriptions. All right. One more thing that I wanted to go over are why is this better? And that is how all the Shopify store and third party and customer details and tokens work. So why is this better? First thing is, if something happens to your CRM or mid, you can move your tokens to another mid or CRM and continue reaping, like I said. And then also the last thing is that you do not start from zero anymore. That's the whole payment processing section and everything that you need to know about 2026, the whole VAMP rules, how to scale your MRR brand, the scaling factors, everything literally put into just one video, guys. All right, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and subscribe button. We're going to be dropping more videos on YouTube and educating you guys, especially what all the new stuff that's heading into 2026, how to scale your brand, backend, marketing, everything. We're going to be going into 2026 with a bang. I don't want you guys starting from zero anymore. So that's why I wanted to give you guys all this free information. And to close off, the final request for the people that keep on DMing me and that want to work with us, guys, if you want to work with Remo and I one-on-one for your brand, to scale your brand, first of all, you need to be running and doing 50K a month plus with your brand, right? And what we offer, if we're going to be working one-on-one with our clients, is we're going to be offering 8 to 12 weeks one-on-one calls directly with us. There's no coach going to be in between. It's going to be directly with us. We're going to be looking into your business. We're going to be strategizing into your business. We're going to be creating game plans for your business in order for you to scale your brand. Next to that, you're also going to be getting 24/7 WhatsApp support, where you're also going to always have contact with Remo and I every single time. No coaches in between. And next to that, you're also going to get access to resources, contacts, strategies, and setups, and even more that's going to scale your brand. Guys, this is only the tip of the iceberg I shared with you guys here. Okay, there's more what I give with my one-on-one clients, because that is just the people I want to take care of, the guys that believe in us, and then we want to make sure that they also grow with their business. And our goal for the people that work one-on-one with us is to build a strong creative engine and backend to scale to $1 million a month with your brand, and even beyond with all the systems that we implement into your business. Guys, that's going to be it. Mr. Brandel here, and make sure to see you guys on the next one. Ciao.